Let's go through the process of merging two arrays step by step, starting with the goal and the background context. The aim of this task is to merge two arrays without removing any duplicates. We will demonstrate how to accomplish this using Power Automate, while ensuring that all elements from both arrays are retained in the final result, even if some elements are identical. In this case, we will use Array 1 and Array 2. It's important to note that Array 2 is a copy of Array 1. The data in Array 2 is essentially the same as that in Array 1, but for demonstration purposes, we might modify a few properties in Array 2 to show how the process works. This means that Array 2 contains exactly the same objects as Array 1 at the start, making the two arrays identical. However, because we're not removing duplicates, both arrays will contribute their elements into the merged result. First, we will create a new flow in Power Automate. This flow will be set to trigger manually, so we can control when the process runs. Start by creating an instant flow in Power Automate and name it Merge Arrays Without Removing Duplicates. The purpose of this name is to reflect the key action the flow is performing, merging arrays and keeping all elements, even duplicates. We will begin by defining Array 1 and Array 2 using Compose actions in Power Automate. Both arrays will contain the same set of data, representing a collection of objects. Since Array 2 is a copy of Array 1, the data inside Array 2 is identical to that of Array 1 at the beginning. Here's an example of how Array 1 might look. Now, Array 2 is a copy of Array 1, meaning it contains the exact same set of data, initially. Next, we need to create an Initialize Variable action to define a variable that will hold the final merged array. This variable should be named Merged Array, and its type should be Array. Set its initial value to an empty array. This variable will be used to collect the merged elements from both Array 1 and Array 2. The next step is to merge the elements of Array 1 into the merged array. This can be done using an Apply to Each action, which allows us to iterate over each item in Array 1 and perform an operation on each element. For the Select an Output from Previous Steps field, choose the output of Array 1, the first Compose action. Inside the loop, add an Append to Array Variable action. This action will append each object from Array 1 to the merged array variable. Once Array 1 has been added to merged array, the next step is to merge Array 2. To do this, we will repeat the same process with Array 2. Add another Apply to Each action, and set the Select an Output from Previous Steps field to the output of Array 2, the second Compose action. Within this loop, add another Append to Array Variable action, which will append each item from Array 2 to the merged array. At this point, merged array will contain all the elements from both arrays, including the exact same objects from Array 2, since it is a copy of Array 1. Now, to see the final result, add a Compose action that uses the value of merged array. This will allow you to view the merged array when the flow is triggered. Additionally, to confirm the total number of elements in the merged array, add another Compose action and use the following expression to count the elements. Length variables merged array. This will return the total number of items in merged array, which should be the combined total of both arrays. Once the flow is complete, you can trigger it manually by clicking the Test button in Power Automate. After running the flow, check the output to see the merged array. Since Array 2 is a copy of Array 1, both arrays will contribute identical objects, and as we're not removing duplicates, both instances will be added to merged array. For instance, if Array 1 contains 10 elements and Array 2 is an exact copy, then the merged result should contain 20 elements, 10 from each array. After running the test, verify the output. The merged array should contain all elements from both Array 1 and Array 2, including duplicates, since no filtering or deduplication process has been applied. You can also check the count of the merged array to confirm that all items from both arrays have been included. In this process, we successfully merged Array 1 and Array 2, which is a copy of Array 1, into a new array called Merged Array. By using Apply to Each loops and the Append to Array variable action, we ensured that each object from both arrays was added to the final result, even if the objects were identical across both arrays. This process is useful in scenarios where it's important to preserve all data, including duplicates, without removing or filtering out repeated elements.